part.
Thank you all for attending the Double Goal Coaching, Positive Coaching Alliance workshop today. My name is James Bunnel. I am currently a Director of Athletics for the Saugus Public Schools. I also have a variety of other certifications and degrees and whatnot, but most importantly, and I think my favorite certification and I guess quality that I have is that I've been able to be a coach, and that's what led me to PCA. And being a coach, I guess, is the best title, in my opinion, that anybody can possess, because I think being a coach, it allows you to impact people on a variety of different levels, and they remember that and are able to take that, that influence and that impact that you've had with them for the remainder of their lives. And that's a huge piece. And that's why I latched on to PCA and love their philosophy and everything that they preach, or we preach, actually.
There you go.
I guess I'm now a part of that.
We're now yes.
So first off, we got to get the logistic pieces out of the way. On the slide, you'll see our sign-in and registration piece for today. You are going to text the number on the screen, and you are going to include the following number. Do you guys give that number? I know It's on my slide. It just says #number. So
yeah, because it's a template.
Number. Yeah, you're going to be given a number for a workshop, so you can just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like the combination that people put on their luggage. Or used to anyway. Your first, last name, and your email address. Take a minute, and if you could text that, it's great. What that does, it allows us to keep track of the coaches that have taken this class, and more importantly, it allows you to be open and receive a variety of different resources through Positive Coaching Alliance. Personally, for me, I get them in my inbox. I think it's almost every other week or so, where it has a great amount of different tips, techniques that you can hopefully implement and use in your everyday coaching. So let's begin. How many of you have taken a PCA workshop before? Good. Hands. I love it. Oh, one. Oh, yes. All right. Great. So some of this might be a refresher for you. Some of it might be new. Again, now that you've been able to experience this, those of you that have taken it, please share your insight and knowledge and what you've learned and gained, and help us better ourselves to become better coaches. For those of you that haven't, we're embarking on our journey to help you become a double goal coach through PCA. But thank you all for being here, and let's begin. So PCA, who is PCA? PCA is the Positive Coaching Alliance. More importantly, PCA has trained over 80,000 coaches, has reached over 3 million people, youth, has presented over 2,500 live workshops. And again, when I go back and mention the resources earlier, there's over 1 million people that visit the PCA developmental zone, where these resources are very, very abundant, whether it's on video, a link to a document. There are a lot of things and a lot of resources that you can use for your everyday coaching. And I highly suggest that when you leave here, you go take a look at that, because it is going to be very beneficial to you. So positive coaching, when you hear the phrase positive coaching, or when you hear the phrase, basically positive coaching, what does that mean to you? As a coach, as a former athlete, what is positive coaching? How can anyone want to share their thoughts on what they feel positive coaching means?
Sure, I will. To me, I think positive coaching is when you have a coach that really cares about being there, is enjoying themselves, and trying to make it fun and enjoyable for the kids.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great answer. Ruben, would you like to add anything to that, or share your thoughts?
A couple things popped into my head. One was being a positive role model for everybody involved, and the other one was looking at the bright side of situations. Seeing the positive in what's happening as opposed to the negative.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things the qualities that you're mentioning of a positive coach, these are qualities that a positive coach is going to pass on to their athletes, and things that people look for in their everyday life. You know, if you go to your boss and that boss just harps on the negative all the time, how great of a productive worker are you going to be? Or, you know, if you're in the classroom and your teacher, all they do is focus on the negative, we're really just spinning our wheels and not going to get anywhere. So, you know, taking these positive traits that you guys have mentioned and learned, and being able to pass these on to these student athletes and to the parents, you know, it starts a contagious good cold in a sense. You know, everybody latching on, and you know, that positive experience is just going to keep generating and get bigger and bigger. So as we continue on, you know, as positive coaching, the PCA defines it, creating an atmosphere that supports the best possible performance. And everything that you have mentioned, and I'm sure there's many more terms that we could throw out there as coaches and as former athletes, you know, it's creating that atmosphere to make these student athletes and these kids want to come back and enjoy what they're doing. And when that atmosphere is created, you're going to witness a beautiful thing happen. Well, the power of positivity, you know, the power of positivity, fortunately, the PCA, the connections that they have and the people that are associated with the organization. I don't know what happened. I see somebody, or I see words.
You good?
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Now I see you guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Totally lost my train of thought. I apologize. So anyways, some of the people that are associated with Positive Coaching Alliance, they're very qualified, very skilled people. And Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, a psychologist at UNC, she has basically thrown out these two quotes that kind of, you know, help embody the message that PCA is presenting. First quote, does anyone want to read that? I don't think you guys have it in front of you.
No, I do. I have it.
Oh, you do? Oh.
Yeah. There's a perception that the best way to get what you want out of employees or players is by negativity or threats, but negativity doesn't work as well as positivity. Just the first one?
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, if somebody else want to read the second one?
Sure, I'll read it. Positive emotions are especially contagious, and a leader's positive emotions are more contagious than anyone else's.
And, you know, it's one of those things that when you read these quotes and see these, the more and more, I want to say there's an author that I recently just read about, John Gordon, great author, Power of Positivity. And, you know, I highly recommend pretty much the majority of his books that I have read. If anybody's interested in that, we're more than happy to share that with you after the workshop. But as I said earlier, it's a contagious piece. That power of positivity, you know, goes such a long way, and it doesn't have to be, you might not see it physically right in the moment, but eventually you'll get bigger and bigger glimpses of it, and it spreads. And that's what you want to see as a coach and as a human being, that positive growth and that positive impact that you're having. You know, study shows, and you look at it, Sports Illustrated, that I think everybody had a subscription at one point in time. Some people still do. For me, I read it online. But, you know, study shows that the benefits of positive coaching, you know, no longer are people looking for a coach that throws a chair or sits and yells and puts down somebody. We're not getting anywhere. Again, we're trying to help develop and shape these kids so they can go out into the real world and in the moment to learn something, to learn a game that's fun and enjoyable. And if we're sitting there harping on them and beating something into them and they don't want to be there, well, we're just going to go a step forward to take 4 steps backwards. We're not gaining any traction here. And the more positive that you can be, the more impact that you're going to have on these young athletes. So the elite coaches agree, elite players and coaches. The fortunate thing about being a member of the PCA is that they are supported by a variety of great coaches, great former athletes, current trainers. I mean, they're going to put the list of the popular people up there, the well-knowns, but the people that I work on a daily basis, my fellow trainers, they're just as important as these people because of the message that they're conveying. And, you know, when it's being supported by all these people, that obviously, you know, we're doing something right. And they're latching onto something because they believe in it. And the PCA celebrating their 20th anniversary. So it's not just, we're not just a fly-by-night organization. We're here, we're trying to make a lasting impact because we want to see this positive change in the culture of athletics. So what negativity does? When you hear mind in the moment, what comes to mind? What comes to mind in the mind in the moment?
Being present.
Being present. How so?
Being focused.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead, continue. You want to elaborate, go right ahead.
Yeah, being on task.
Okay, yeah.
Having your mind in, where it should, having your mind and focus where it should be, mind in the moment.
Absolutely. Now, how can you relate that to take mind in the moment, being focused? Now relate that to participating in, let's say, basketball.
Oh my gosh, if we lose this game, we won't go to playoffs. If we don't go to playoffs, we won't meet our goals. If we don't meet our goals, I won't get a college scholarship. If I don't get a college scholarship, my hopes and dreams are lost.
Well, now that you've just summed up everyone's thought just right there, what does that mind in the moment, the way that Ruben's explained it, how does that impact these kids during a game, during an event?
They're stressed out. They're not thinking about what they're doing right now. They're thinking about what's going to come, what's going to come next. And I don't know. I just think it really distracts athletes when they're not thinking about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Both of you are absolutely right. One of the greatest, I think, words of wisdom that I received when I was an athlete was that, my father, who was one of my coaches, and several of my coaches said it too, is that they yelled at me, not plays or not yelling, but yelling to get my attention. But they said, James, keep your head in the game. And for the longest time, I had no idea what that meant. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to do the and then, as you get older and you think about it more and you learn and develop more. And then when I became a coach, my athletes still come up to me today, the former ones that I did coach in high school, and they're like, Mr. Bunnel, we're keeping our head in the game. Or you really didn't tell us to go here, to go there during the game. You just more or less were telling us to remain focused. And that helped us a lot, not only in the game, but I'm able to use that now in the classroom or in my everyday job. And that's, that's key because, thinking about all those other things, it may be out of our control. And why am I going to focus and spend my time spending on all that energy on something that I may have no control over whatsoever? But if I am able to focus on the task at hand or what I am able to control, the result might become a lot more positive. Questions? Do you agree? Do you agree that positivity or it works better, or that negativity distracts? Yes, the both have got a head nod. So do we agree that
Beth's nodding her head too?
I see it loud and clear on Beth's screen. A lot of times, again, no one's really focusing on, we may focus on the negative in a variety of different aspects, but people pay more attention to the positive pieces and the positive outcomes that are going to occur. We live in a world today where, you see all these negative pieces here and there, but when you see that one bright spot that someone did something well, or they reached out, or they accomplished something, it outweighs all those other pieces so much more than people even understand. And those great things, if you can convey that message across to your student athletes, to your parents, and getting everybody on board, you're creating that culture that's going to thrive. And ultimately, that's the goal that you want to have as an organization, as a coach for your team, in the bigger scheme of pictures, in the wide world of sports. If everybody is more focused on the positive achievement that the team is getting as a whole, then the situations are going to arise less and less where you're going to read an article about parents having a brawl at the Pop Warner football game over who scored the last touchdown, or removing a kid to play on this group and then removing a kid to play on this team or that team because they want to be the starter. You know, there's a lot of pieces that come with, if you're able to focus on, well, we're getting something positive out of this. You know, my kid might not be a superstar, but is coming off the bench and loves it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's an awesome piece, because they're learning qualities that they're going to be able to carry through them from 6 years old all the way up until, you know, they're our age. And, you know, right now, I'm a coach of my daughter's team in soccer. She's going to be turning 7. So it's not really, I guess, coaching. It's more of managing the amoeba that just moves around the field, that one big shape. And, you know, it's more or less, it's encouraging them. It's teaching them those basic skills. But I want those kids to just have fun and enjoy it. I want them to come back and enjoy playing the game that I love playing my entire life, so that they get something of it. So we may be losing by 10 goals. That's not what I focus on. I focus on that they're working hard, they're going after the ball, and those things are more important. And, you know, and when parents get off the field and have a smile on their face, that's what you're looking for that kid and that parent to enjoy that event. And, you know, that's what we're trying to get. Now, aside from me just talking about all the positivity that I'm glaring out there, why do we feel there is so much negativity in sports? Anyone would like to share that?
It's frustrating, you know. It's frustrating. 2 teams want to win, but at the end of the game, only one team wins. You know, you work hard, and the referee makes a bad call, and it could cost you something that you've worked hard for. You know, we all want our kids to get scholarships, and some get them, some don't. You know, there's not a scholarship for every kid out there. You know, so I think there's a lot of potential for that negativity to constantly be creeping in.
Right, absolutely. Anyone else would like to share why they feel?
I watched a JV girls basketball game yesterday, and I watched a coach scream his head off at these 11 girls that were, you know, freshmen and sophomores in high school. And for the first time, I really think I looked at a coach and he was embarrassed. And I really think that's why he was screaming so much, because he kept saying, we went over that. We talked about that. So I think sometimes I used to think a lot of it was pressure, but it's JV girls basketball. I don't think there's a ton of pressure there. I think it was more of him being embarrassed that he wasn't a good enough coach to teach these players better. I really think that's what it is. That's what it was anyway yesterday.
No, those are great examples. You know, when, again, as I mentioned earlier, focusing on the negativity, and if we focus on, I'm as competitive as a person as the rest of you in this room, and I want to win just as much as everybody else. But I had to learn that success is not defined by the end result on that scoreboard. And when people start to acknowledge that and see the little successes that can happen throughout a practice, throughout a game, that negativity is going to start to go away and go away real fast, because these kids are being successful in a variety of different ways. And if that's acknowledged, we're having a positive coaching effect on all of them. Now, I skipped 2 slides. PCA's vision. One of the biggest things in my professional job right now as an athletic director, I tell my coaches, yes, you are coaches, but they're actually more psychologists and therapists than coaches, because I think you have to handle a variety of different kids that learn in a variety of different ways as your main job, and teaching them the game or sport almost comes secondary, because everybody's in their own head. And we talked about it earlier. And once you get those kids, those athletes to work together, you're going to see a beautiful thing. But I hand more things out and send my coaches more information about, you know, having a good mindset, how to get everybody on the same page, becoming a good team member, becoming a glue guy, you know, all these different pieces that may have a great makeup that make a team, you know, they're not really taught to coaches that back in the day, not my day, but, you know, way back when, you know, they weren't taught how to handle an athlete. I mean, you know, how you talk to one person might not be the same way you talk to that other person. And coaches need to realize that. And once they do and learn these different ways and techniques, they're going to have a better relationship with their players and a better team because of it, because they're creating that atmosphere for everybody to willing to learn. And more importantly, as a coach, you want to be approachable. if an athlete or a student athlete can't come up to you and feel they can't come up to you and talk to you, well, there's a big issue there. You need to have that perception that these athletes, yeah, it's okay for them to come up and ask a question or to come up and share a concern, because you're their role model, and that's needed. And when that presence and that quality is felt, you're going to get a great impact and a lot more from those kids. See, if we do practice.
We can't hear you right now, James. Can you hear him, Ruben?
So I accidentally muted him. I meant to mute Beth. I somehow muted James. Now I can't unmute him for some reason. Are you able to unmute yourself?
I unmuted me.
Okay.
Oh, there you
Sorry
go.
about that.
Hear from you. You could have just said something. You didn't need to hit the button. Yeah. What I was saying was that, once using this new sports psychology that we have, this information that we have, putting these best practices into play, we're creating not only better athletes, but more importantly, we're helping create better people to enter that world. And, as my role as an athletic director, I see kids that come in from a variety of different leagues and organizations from the 8th grade into 9th grade. And I end up having to try to clean up a lot of the mess that has been put out there by different coaches, by different organizations that really don't understand the concept of what athletics and what being an athlete and being a member of a team is all about. If it's focused more on that team rather than the individual, you're going to be successful no matter what. And when these things are accomplished, PCA's vision is becoming a success. Now, you all have the book, The Power of Double Goal Coaching. Every time I go to a conference, I end up scooping up about 4 or 5 of them because I hand them out to my parents, to my coaches. Don't tell PCA that. It's a little secret. But, it's a great book. It's a great book that I've read that this course is modeled around, and it has practical tools and things that you can use every day as a coach. And that's things that you want as a coach, not things that are going to be, E equals MC squared and try to figure out the formula, but, things that are simple to use and simple to understand that is going to get the point across. And it just makes your coaching life a lot easier, and it makes, the experience for the athlete that much better. Again, what PCA offers is not only these books, but a variety of different classes that can be taken both online or in person, like you guys are doing right now. The emails I had mentioned earlier, and the developmental zone, the videos. In my presentations that I use at my high school for my parent meetings, I have positive coaching videos that pop up all over the place, whether it's from Brad Stevens or Doc Rivers, just to talk about, how to be a good parent, how to be a supportive parent, or how to be a good teammate. These are things that I feel are very important for everybody to learn, and they can't hear that message enough. Now, what makes a great youth sports experience for kids? What do you feel makes a great sports experience for kids today? Anyone want to share?
Exciting competition.
Exciting competition?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you that well. My fault, Ruben. Anyone else want to exciting competition? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a definite positive. Athletes that I talk to, they want to be in a game where they can be competitive, and getting that message across is not only competitive on the scoreboard, but competitive in a variety of other things. They might face a team that has won 8 state championships or something of that nature, and may go into it looking, we don't have a shot. But yeah, we may not have a shot on the scoreboard, but I don't want to think that way. Let's focus on certain pieces that we can achieve, that we can control. And getting that message across, that's what's going to help turn that key and be successful and have those athletes. All right, well, we might have lost the game, but we were able to take all these meaningful experiences right out of that. So anyone else want to share?
I know that for me and for my kids, if they are enjoying the experience with their friends, they're actually having fun, and they like the people on the team with, it makes a much better experience.
Oh, absolutely. And try and develop that culture. That, again, that's something that's huge. When you when you get everybody on that same page, again, that success just naturally occurs from that. Well, right now, a meaningful experience for an athlete. The top three, we have feeling connected to teammates and a coach, something that's been mentioned, believing that they can improve, and feeling proud about acting with integrity. In small groups, can we break off and can you guys share an example just briefly of each of these with each other?
Mm-hmm.
And the group goes by.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to share their thoughts from the group as to anyone feeling connected to a teammate or a coach? Does anyone remember or would like to share their experience or someone from their group's experience that stands out?
Yeah, we talked about, as far as feeling connected, we talked about how athletes, there were a few examples of situations where a particular athlete on a team didn't feel like they were contributing. They didn't know how they could contribute to the team's success. They felt like they didn't really have a role, that the team would be just fine without them, and how that wasn't a very good situation.
Did they talk, we're just going to stray from one before we get on the other two, but did they talk how they might have included or made that member of the team feel valued?
Yeah. Yeah, like some of them talked about how even if you, talking to a player about how even if they didn't have a lot of playing time in the games, that how in practice, by pushing the other players and competing with them and helping make the others better, that they actually were contributing, even though they didn't realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's one thing that I'm sure that as coaches in this room, and I myself can speak to, that we've accounted in one way or another, is how to make everybody on that team feel value and feel they have a purpose and are contributing to that team. Just your first person in the game and your last person off the bench, they're just as important as one another. And, to have that message conveyed and for everybody to realize what their expectations are and what they can provide to the team is huge. And making sure that everybody is included, and if they're not, to get them included, that's big. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone about believing that they can improve? Anyone have any thoughts on that one? Or would like to share?
I'll talk on that one. One of the reasons I've coached a lot of sports, and one of the reasons that I've sort of stuck with lacrosse for little kids, is because it's not a sport that everybody can just pick up and do. Not everybody can just pick up a lacrosse stick and be able to catch and throw. So there's a lot of enjoyment in the kids seeing themselves improve and catch a ball, and the next week they catch it and their face lights up. So it's really exciting for the team to be able to see physically every single week how they can do things that they literally could not do the week before. Exciting for them, and it keeps them motivated. And I make sure that I try to point out all the little things that they do that they couldn't do a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely, and that's great that you're pointing those out during practice and during games, because that's what gets them to keep coming back. Yeah, if we were to go to the other end of the spectrum, like we talked about earlier, if you're pointing out, oh, you dropped it again, but you can't catch, but it's not that we're not being productive. We're adults and we're talking to kids, and the more positive and encouraging that we can be, yeah, it's all right, you missed it. All right, get it next time. Build them back up. That's going to go a long way. And I think lastly, this is kind of a cool one. Feeling proud about acting with integrity. Does anyone want to share their thoughts or what the group discussed about that one?
We actually felt like the players don't think about that much. That some of them are very good at it, but we were kind of confused about that one as to a need of an athlete. We weren't sure about that one.
One of the things that I talk about, and I talk to my student athletes, and I have the avenue to approach it in a different way in my position, but feeling proud and acting with integrity is one of the things I tell my coaches and all my athletes, is that you win with class and lose with pride. Just because you won a game doesn't mean we have to go and rub it in somebody's face. And if we lost the game, yeah, we lost the game, but there might be reasons as to why we lost that. We're going to discuss it as a team, and we're going to rebound from that. And hold your head up high for working hard, and you know what? We'll get at it the next day. And when they have that mindset, better things come from it, as opposed to, well, we lost the game because Johnny can't see out of the corner of his eye, I'm open for a 3-pointer and I can't hit a jump shot, or because Larry can't kick the ball with his left foot, or Sheila can't stop a goal. I mean, you know, when you create that environment and start blaming one another, well, we're not, that's not the point of a team. You know, like I said, if you win with class and lose with pride, yeah, all right, we lost. It's tough. It's you know, I wanted to win on the scoreboard, but what do we do well, and what can we improve on so that scoreboard changes the next time? You know, that's what I feel when you hold that integrity. You know, it's something big. And when these athletes, when I see them in the high school, you know, when they have that, again, it's contagious. That's good code that you want these people to catch, and it helps identify those leaders that come on the teams. And these are the kids that are going to come back to the high school that want to coach, or that want to reach out and help out the little kids in the youth organizations. And those are people, those are qualities that I want to instill in all these kids at such a young age, so that when they get to me, I have a whole team of those people that have very good integrity and that are possessing all these qualities. That's what I feel about, you know, how someone can hold integrity with this message. Anyone else want to share anything different aside from me hearing it? Like, okay, good. Well, anyways, if you players accomplish all three of these things, what do you feel might happen?
They'll play better.
Giant fireworks going off everywhere.
They'll play better.
They'll play
They'll
better.
win.
They think they'll win. You're absolutely right. And it might not. The end result might not be a win in the competition, but they're winning in other ways, and they're going to see that. Now, PCA's coaching model. So in this class, we're going to learn about 3 huge principles. Being connected, and that's the emotional tank. You know, when that emotional tank is filled, you're going to get a lot more out of these athletes than when that emotional tank is empty. Just like, take the car analogy. When your gas tank is empty, how far are you going to go? Good, nowhere. Awesome. You got it. But when it's full, you can travel a great distance. You know, improving the elm tree of mastery. You know, again, more principles to help people getting better. These kids get better at a variety of different pieces that are going to help them become the overall arching piece. You know, all these little pieces of the puzzle that make that huge puzzle complete. These qualities, that's what the elm tree of mastery is going to bring. And lastly, we just talked about it briefly, is integrity, honoring the game that they're playing. You know, when you show respect for the game, the official, your opponent, coaches, you know, it's something special to see, because you don't get those fans yelling out of the stands, "It was over the back," or "Are you blind, ref?" Because I'm sure none of you have heard that before. So, you know, these might be a little bit new, but, you know, some people don't honor the game. And, you know, sports are a very special thing if they're done the right way. And these 3 principles that we're going to learn today are going to hopefully bring a lot more to your coaching experience. Now, understanding your legacy. Herm Edwards, this brief video from Herm Edwards, former coach, might be a new coach at Arizona State soon, who knows? But Herm Edwards, you've probably seen him on ESPN. I think one of his famous quotes is, "You play to win the game." But more importantly, today he's going to be talking about understanding your legacy. And we watch that fun video. And what he says, this quote is very important. When the book of your life is written, will it say that you made a difference? And as a coach, think about that. Think about, you know, if you can look back, can you say that you made a difference in these athletes or young children's lives? And it doesn't have to be, yeah, I helped somebody achieve, you know, a full scholarship to Duke or whatever. That's wonderful. But it could be, well, I helped one kid realize that he could dribble with his left foot, or I helped a person realize that they were a part of a team because they led the cheer. Go Team Orange. You know, those are things that make a difference, how great or small, but that's how impactful as a coach you guys are right now. And so as we get into it, PCA's model of coaching, we have, you know, the double goal coach, striving to win. Like I said, everybody in this room wants to win. Me, I was competitive as the next person, and then I do really hate to lose, but you know, it's part of playing a game and teaching life lessons. And as I've grown with age and through all my experiences, you know, that's why I'm a huge fan of PCA, because they bring these two pieces together, as you see on the PowerPoint. And, you know, as a coach, yeah, we want to win just as much as the next person, but we want to win it, and we want to be able to teach these kids these life lessons that they're going to take with them. Because winning a game at the end of the day, great, we won, but those life lessons, those are the things that they're going to carry with them throughout their entire life. And I think
that is it.
That is it.
Yes.
Stop it. Stop it.
That's the opposite.
Stop
I
it,
always
stop
have
it.
to ask them to clap more. Aren't you going to clap?
All right. How'd you feel? What'd you get out of doing that? Did you feel good going through it?
I did. I did feel good going through it. I know, like, there was a couple of spots, and I think it's like anything you teach, the more and more you do it, the more and more comfortable you are, and it just becomes more second nature. And this being the first time that I presented, I know I probably definitely had some, not slip-ups, but hesitations, or I had to, I guess I was hesitant a little bit. I stopped as a presenter and had to collect myself. But, you know, there are things that I felt the more and more I do it, the more and more smoother it's going to get. Like those are, to me, are just like little hiccups on a bigger scale. But
yeah,
overall,
I agree. I think
it went okay.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was very strong for a first time going through it. Absolutely. Let me ask you this question. I just started doing this recently. I have a lot of comments and a lot of great things I saw, James, that I'm going to give you more details on. But if you had to pick one thing to improve on, what do you think it would be?
When I was talking about the 3 principles, the elm tree of mastery, I felt like I could have been a little more detailed there as an introduction to it. I thought I was a little vague. And possibly, I guess, I don't know, because I did ask questions. I had you guys interact with each other. I did the group work. You guys were great in group work. Everybody did well there. I don't know. It's tough. I'm not. I know by no means do I think that I was perfect, or it's always hard to critique yourself.
It is. That's why I make people do it. Yeah, no, that's great. Ruben, would you like to start to give James some things you really liked about what he did and maybe some suggestions, or would you like me to start?
No, I'll start, Kelly, and I'll try to be brief, Kelly, and let you provide the majority of the feedback. So, James, I think your personality is just awesome. I think, you know, your smile, when you flash that smile, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just awesome. And you bring it. When you bring it, I think it adds so much. I think, you know, the experience you have, the depth of experience you have to draw upon is just such an asset. Then combined with the fact that we need you in the New England chapter, you know, all that combination, I'm just very excited about, you know. You know, it's interesting as far as something to work on or you might do differently. It's interesting that you said I didn't provide enough detail on, you know, you got a whole section of the workshop coming up, James, that's on each principle. You're going to get the opportunity to provide detail and explore in detail. This part of the workshop that you did, James, is an introduction. It's an opening. So I actually feel the opposite. I feel that less detail on the principles in the opening 20 minutes, because, you know, what comes next after this? Well, you got a whole section on filling emotional tanks. You have a whole section on the elm. So just give us a quick introduction here, and then you'll have time. So I thought that was interesting. Does that make sense, James?
Yeah, it does. And what I meant by, like, you know, more detail, it's one of those things, like, you know, as a student, even though it might be, bless you, twice, I think you're sneezing. Looked like you were sneezing, Kelly.
I muted so you didn't have to do it.
You know, when I was a teacher, even though it might have been an introduction to a section or something like that, I always like to give like little tidbits that would hopefully grasp different people's attention. Like, oh, yes, that I'm looking forward to that. I see. I can relate to that. So that's why I just, when I meant like detail, those little like nuggets that hopefully someone can latch onto better than if I were to just say, and we're going to talk about the principle of elm tree of mastery.
Well, okay, so again, I'm going to disagree with you. I think the detail comes later. Elm tree of mastery, the nugget or the catch is, we just talked about how kids need to feel like they can improve. The elm tree of mastery principle is going to help us hit that head on.
Okay, all right.
You say it with passion, and you say it with conviction, and this is going to be meaningful, but you don't teach the principle now.
Right. No, I got you. I understand. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's it. Kelly, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. James, I agree with Ruben. I always say, like, first impressions, if I was sitting in your workshop, I try to picture myself actually sitting in your workshop. And I agree. I think your passion, your energy, enthusiasm, smile, and sense of humor are all an amazing package that you have. And that's the kind of stuff that we can't really teach. You can bring it out in people, but you can't really teach it. And you already have it, which that's an incredible asset that you have.
Thank you.
The one question that I do have for you, and if I was going to ask you, what is the difference between teaching and coaching? What would you say?
What's the difference between teaching? There's really, to me, there's really not a huge difference. You know, I tell my coaches that they're a teacher just in a different setting. You know, they might not be in a classroom with a board behind them, but you know, they're still teaching and conveying a message and a lesson, whether it's how to dribble, how to pass, how to receive a catch, something of that nature.
Okay. So if I were to ask you in a PCA workshop, do you look at yourself as more of a teacher or more of a coach that's teaching people how to do something, or you're teaching them information? Which would you say?
I'm giving them, I feel that I'm providing the people in a workshop with the tools for them to take out into the real world so they can use them. Right,
exactly. I'm putting you on the spot here because coming from a teacher to a teacher, without even knowing this, I could tell you're a teacher. Because teachers have a tendency to explain detail, as Ruben said, give a lot of details and a lot of explanation. And teachers, we like to talk and we like to explain things. That I think is almost a detriment to people that want to be PCA trainers that are teachers, is that really it's about how. We want the coaches to leave our workshops with tools on how to go out and be a better coach. So we're actually coaching them. We don't call it a lecture. That's why we call it a training, and we call ourselves facilitators, because in order to help these coaches change the way that they coach or reinforce what they're doing well, we need to coach them. And in order to coach a kid on your soccer team, you've got to have them kind of buy in to what we're doing. Right. And in order to do that, they have to see where there's a need. You know, why do you want me to run this sprint? That doesn't make sense. Well, maybe you need some more cardiovascular help. Or why do you need me to get out wide? Well, I need you to get out wide so you spread out the field so that you can actually be open for a pass. So why do you need me to be more positive as a coach? Well, because have you ever had a kid that you've coached that wasn't motivated? Have you ever had a player that is disrespectful, but he might be the best player you have on a team? Did you ever have parents that are just barking down your throat because they're disagreeing with how you're doing this? So the part that I'm going to encourage you to try to do more of, connect it to me. Because I'm the coach sitting in the workshop. I might be the one with my arms closed going, all right, positive coaching is great, but what's it going to do for me? And I think connecting that, my own experience, my own issues, my own needs, almost like salesmen always have to figure out what's the hurt, what's the need of the person in order to have this product. I think, you know, you don't want it to be a sales pitch, but there is some type of in the very beginning, this intro is to kind of catch the coaches to say, you have a need here. We're going to identify that need and we're going to coach you up so that you can go out and address all these needs that you have. Details about the 3 principles. What need do coaches have if we're telling them that athletes need to have more connection? What are they missing? What might they be lacking on their team?
Oh, I'm sorry. You paused in the middle of, well, The stream didn't come through all the way as once. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
So what was your
okay.
question again?
I'm just saying with the 3 principles, if you have a coach sitting in the room and they're saying, okay, these 3 principles are great, but my team's doing okay, is that having connection is really important to their personal team. What's in it for them? What's the need for them?
I think, you know, it's one of the things, one of my big proponents as the position that I'm in is that I've learned to be a lifelong learner, is that you always want to get better. And when it comes to a point where you settle, well, that's too bad, because there's always room for growth and there's always room for improvement. And again, what I'm trying to convey out there, the message that I'm trying to put from PCA is that, you know, again, the tools to the toolbox. I'm just adding more and more techniques that hopefully that you can take out and you can put into action, you know, because the world's constantly changing. And
you said the word hopefully too. Why are you hopeful?
I am hopeful because I'm also not naive. That, you know, everybody that sits in a classroom, I'm not going to say that they come back and remember everything that I say or use everything that I put out there, you know, but if they're able to pick up 1 or 2 things from, you know, a workshop or information that I present and able to use it and put it into action, then I think it'll be a good thing. If, you know, I'm hopeful that, yeah, they're going to remember everything and go out and become great coaches. Yeah, I am very hopeful of that. In reality, I know that's probably not going to happen. I know they're probably going to take, you know, a few things that they can use and hopefully put those into action the right way. And, you know, my hope is that they would take all of it and do that. But I also have to, you know, the world that we live in, the people that I encounter every day, I know that that's not true, but I can always be hopeful that they are able to take all of it and put that into action.
So I agree, and I'm only pushing you because I think you've got a lot of great things going for you. Because I think you have the ability to be extremely effective, and I think telling all these coaches how they can be better isn't necessarily the most effective way for you to convey this message.
Okay.
I didn't, and I actually put down time. I told you I was timing this. The asking of, like, you didn't get me really thinking about my own experience until 25 minutes into it, when you got me in a group to think about my own experience.
Okay.
You were asking me lots of questions. You were asking me lots of, you know, why is negativity important? Why is positivity? Who's been to a workshop before? Just telling me. And if you say, I'm hopeful that these coaches are going to change the way they are. That guy that I saw, that coach that I saw screaming to these JV girls basketball teams yesterday, I'm not hopeful that he becomes more positive in the way he coaches. He needs to become more positive in the way he coaches. I'm not hopeful. He needs to. And the reason is because the girls weren't responding to him, and they were getting down on themselves, and they were picking on each other, and they were really putting themselves down after they missed a shot because they were yelled at. So the difference, I think, and what Ruben was saying too, is convey it with passion, convey it with conviction that this is the way. And you've got plenty of backing from research and best practices of coaches and your own experience of being an athletic director. You've got so much to pull from. Your message needs to be stronger. And instead of saying, I'm hopeful you guys are going to be better, positive coaches, I'm hopeful you're going to take some of these tools home. I think it goes beyond being hopeful, because we've got enough material and things that we can give these coaches and tools that they can go out and coach. And I want them to run out of your workshop so that they can't wait to get on the field and work with these athletes and try positive charting and maybe try the buddy system and work on their 5-to-1 ratio. I don't want them to go, yeah, he gave me some good ideas. I might try a couple things. Oh my gosh, I've got a kid here. I've got a team that's got issues, and I just learned the magic ratio. I had no idea that this even existed. And all I need to do is have more positives than criticisms, and these kids are going to actually be more motivated and play harder and stick to it longer and not give up. That's amazing. You know? So I would just love to see you frame it a little bit more.
So Kelly, Kelly, can I jump in on that too? Yeah. So
please.
I'm thinking, I'm processing what you're saying, Kelly. And I personally, as a trainer, I don't think you're saying this, Kelly. I personally, as a trainer, don't like going into a room with coaches and saying, you have to do this, you need to do this. However, I do say, all the evidence, all the research, everything points to the fact that if you hit your players with a magic ratio of 5-to-1 over the course of time, all kinds of good things will happen.
Right.
And this will, so now that's
convincing to me. That's convicting.
That I'm saying it with conviction, but I'm not saying you have to do this, because they don't, well, unless their boss tells them they have to do it. And then they still don't have to do it. They can still yell and scream and get fired, but anyway, I just wanted to jump in with a little of that, Kelly.
And that, I guess.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I was trying to, how Ruben said it is what I was trying to do. Like, I guess, like, I hate being the person, like, well, I am the boss to coaches, but, getting someone to buy in, and the way that Ruben, you just said it, if I said it that way, it would have been a much different, because you're getting people to buy into it, so they're more apt to do it, as opposed to saying that this is what you have to do, whether you like it or not. It just doesn't, I could be told to do something and I could do it, but I'm not going to do it the right way. Someone could tell me how to do it, and it might not be done. I could say 5 positive things, but I could say 5 positive things, and the tone that I use could be the exact opposite of those 5 positive things being effective.
Right. And
so that's what I was trying to
buy-in is a tricky word, because I don't want to come off sales pitchy. And this is kind of hard to convey. Sometimes it's easier to show, but I just think that, buy-in for me is that those salespeople at a car dealership want you to sit in the car. Why do they say, oh, come sit in this beautiful red convertible? Because they want you to feel owner of this convertible. The same thing in our workshops. We want these coaches to feel the power of being a positive coach. And how that can change their team, and how that can change what's going on, and it can change the outlook of wins and losses. So we don't want to just tell them. We want them to actually feel it, experience it, try it out, use it, think about it, discuss it, challenge us, go back to us. And I think you have, as I said, you challenged Ruben. He gave you an answer and you said, well, tell me more about that. How so? Explain that to me. That is where you're challenging. I thought that was the best part of what you did. You challenged him. You thought about what he said. You said, wait, well, give me more. Give me more. I'm not quite there yet.
That was
so I think less talking, mind in the moment. Yeah. I think less talking, less details, more conviction.
Okay.
With your sense of humor and your passion and your experience and your stories it'll just reframe it. So instead of being a class, it will be an experience.
Okay.
And it will be a workshop where these coaches are learning how to work in a different way.
Okay.
So that's what I would encourage you to do. Also, I think 37 minutes is what you went for the intro, and that's a lot longer than, we usually say 20 maximum for the intro, because you're going to get into the rest of the workshop.
Right.
So, almost 40 minutes was almost double the amount of time that you took on the intro. So I would definitely try to cut that down. Keep it simple.
A little bit. Cool.
Yeah. But James, you've got everything in place, and Ruben knows I'm not usually this long-winded with people, but when I see a lot of potential, I like to jump on it, because I think you're like this close to being just knocking it out of the park. It's just a little bit of tweaking and reframing the way that you're delivering, I think, will make a huge impact.
All right, cool.
All right.
Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm writing things down. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I have it recorded too, so you can watch it. You can watch it back.
So I don't have to write. Okay, good.
But
then you're forcing me to watch myself.
No. There you go. Now you got to watch it. But just as you watch yourself back, think about, well, I was a little wordy there. I could cut that back. Where did you see us? Ruben and I kind of at points you can see the audience like, oh, wow, we're perking up. Or where are we kind of like just listening, live room better anyway.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So chew that all up. And, with the next demo, you pick a principal of choice. So whenever you do that, if you'd like to give it another go, let me know. Okay.
I'm signing off, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks,
me too.
Ruben. Pleasure.
Bye.
Thanks, Ruben, for joining us.
Kelly, how long, is there like a certain amount of time